Is my hair okay?
Well, at least you got some, right?
I had it cut short so it didn't go all over the place.
I didn't get mine cut. Okay. This is Jeff Mucci with RCR Wireless News, and we're here today with Neil Tomlinson, who's Global Marketing Head for Anritsu's Service Assurance business. Neil, thanks for joining us today at 2013 TM Forum in Nice.
Yep. Okay. Yes. Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to discuss with you our propositions today.
So behind us, we've got Anritsu tied to next generation social infrastructure. What does that term mean? And then we can talk a little bit about MasterClaw.
Yeah, sure. From our perspective, I think the world is changing. We grew up in a telecoms age where we had voice as the primary driver for revenues. Data came along. We heard the convergence of data and voice over networks. And I think, they were always separate networks. But what's happened in more recent times is the deployment of social infrastructure, Facebook, Twitter, and these are now driving communications in a different area. So we now have a social network rather than a telecoms network. And that's driving up the infrastructure, which is a commodity now, to deliver these applications. And what that means to the operators is they become a vendor of service carrying and end-to-end service capabilities. They manage and maintain the core network, and they say it's working or it's not working. But at the end of the day, does Facebook work or does YouTube work to the right quality that gives the end user that experience that they're looking for? So as we move up this infrastructure, we move from a telecoms to a social infrastructure using the telecoms or the traditional IP-based networks, voice networks, to deliver service capabilities in this social environment. And that really gives a lot more value. So it's about now looking at the service capabilities, the end-to-end service performance, rather than necessarily looking at the traditional way of looking at a telecoms network from a physical entity point of view. So the value now is in the service carrying, is how the operator competes with the over-the-top providers, how they deliver new service capabilities, measure them, and retain their customers in the network, and therefore the revenues associated with them.
Can you talk about how Anritsu helps protect the network from some of these perhaps less optimized over-the-top applications?
Yeah, I think, as we start to look into what's happening in a network, we can look at the devices, we can look at the performance of devices, but we can also look at the performance of applications. And obviously in an application environment, you can build an application that's very inefficient, or you can build one that's very efficient. And how it uses the network really can impact the network performance, and therefore identifying the specific app that may be running on a handset can identify an issue that needs to be addressed by the operator, and he can take the appropriate actions, either by screening them out at the interface or going to the app developer and saying, this app really doesn't work with our network, can you please make some changes? So the ability of the view now of looking at not only the end-to-end connectivity, but the performance of an application inside of a network and the way it uses it is becoming more and more important to the operator in terms of delivering that service capability.
Neil, thanks for your time.
You're welcome. Pleasure.
I'm going to do another clip.
Yep.
Because I don't like